Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I am joined by my friend and colleague, Diane Campanile, currently with Lions Insurance. And we've been having some conversations with clients, Diane, where we're hearing some things from really not only clients, but also affinity groups that are hearing a lot of concern around what does the end of the year look like. We've now successfully and hopefully made it through all of the pandemic stuff that's gone on. Things are looking up. And so yeah, fingers crossed. And so what we're seeing now is that companies are struggling with, do we bring employees back? Do we not? That's really all over the board in terms of what companies are doing. And the challenge that we're frankly seeing is there are a lot of unfilled opportunities right now. And
Indeed.
there can be a lot more unfilled opportunities if we don't handle this correctly. So
Absolutely.
Diane and I have been talking about a fun thing that she's doing called the Stay interview.
hmm
And so I invited her to join me today and talk a little bit more about what is a Stay interview, how do you do it, and frankly, like, how does it work? So
Right.
I'll hand it over to you to take it away.
So, it's interesting that we go ahead and spend so much time talking to people as they leave an organization. We do
Mhm,
exit interviews.
mhm,
But why never stay interviews? So, as we talked about the fall coming and people making plans, what does COVID look like coming back into the office? Do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? Are we taking vaccination cards? Are we not taking proof of vaccination? That's a whole other subject. We could
mhm.
probably talk about it another time. But having people back into the office, it's important that they want to come back.
Mhm,
It's important that they want to continue to work for your organization, even if they're not back in the office because their priorities changed.
Yep.
Are you up to date with how your employees' priorities changed? So their first part of actually getting together and putting together a stay interview for a client is really about what has the past year looked like in your organization. What things might your employees say?
Mhm,
Because, Kevin, as you and I know,
mhm,
employee surveys are a nightmare. If you
mhm,
don't already know what they're going to say, you don't already have answers to what they're going to say. So, doing a stay interview involves doing a review of the past year,
mhm.
coming up with questions that you really need to know.
Yep.
The first thing I always start with in my stay interviews is, how has the pandemic changed your priorities? Or has it?
Mhm,
Possible that it has not. And some people actually can get a little offended by it as well. But how has it changed your priorities? Has senior leadership really stepped up to the plate and let you know what was going on each and every step along the way?
right.
Did that make you feel valued?
Mhm,
Invested employers won't really have an issue going into the fall. Invested employers already know some of the answers to the questions that I try to pose. Why do you keep working here? I don't think you're going to find anybody who says this year, Kevin, I come for just the money. The paycheck works for me.
Oh, remember when like for 2 weeks after the offer, those were the exact words you heard? Um,
It's true.
it's in even on the onboarding side with employees joining organizations. An interesting thing that we have found is that compensation's not really in the top four or five.
Mhm.
What's in the top of mind pieces are quality of life,
Yep.
work-life balance. What does your culture look like? Why is this job open? Which can be a little bit of a red face test.
How many
What
times has it been open?
yeah, what's going on here? What is the team like? How often do I get to work with them in terms of meetings?
Mhm.
But they are not the compensation piece. It used to be compensation benefits. Let's talk about those two pieces, and we're pretty good. Um, from a talent kind of perspective and moving people, what we're seeing a lot more of is I have a parent who now lives with me.
Mhm.
I have a child who needs additional care. I have honestly, I have a pet that needs additional care.
Right. My
So the
dog's used to me being home. What's going
yes,
to happen when I go back to the office?
exactly. Can I bring my dog with to the office? And there are companies that'll do that too.
Huh?
But I think that's part of this is understanding, as you said, what those concerns are
Mhm.
without sort of blindly painting a stroke of, well, everybody must want to be in the office
Right.
because I do. And and so knowing what that looks like so that you're not facing the mass resignation that is being kind of speculated in terms of the fall of
Mhm.
people saying, you know what, I'm going to leave and I don't actually have another job.
I
That's how
told you
bad I
this
don't want to come
week.
back. Yes.
Right. I told you this week, I've got 3 people who've already said to me that they are resigning from their positions,
Yep.
2 of whom don't have positions.
Yep.
Priorities completely changed.
Hmm.
What's important to me and my family, and
Hmm.
that's from one person I heard, what's important to from for me and my family, my employer's not willing to go ahead and bend on.
Hmm.
I can't work 5
Hmm.
days a week in the office. I don't want to work 5 days a week in the office.
Hmm.
I want to be home.
Hmm.
I want to have at least part-time working from home. I'm more productive. I've
Hmm.
proven that I'm more productive at home. So
Yep.
why can't I do that? Well, an employer gets to decide where business is actually going to go ahead and take place.
Hmm.
That being said, I'm here to help them prepare for what happens when they don't and
Hmm.
pass it on to someone like you, who's
Hmm.
a search consultant that is
Hmm.
able to go ahead and help them fill positions that have just been vacated.
Absolutely. And the other piece of this that I think is even more important is that um, there's a lot of work happening right now, right? There's a lot of work that's coming at us in the fall. And I think people have, and they definitely earned it, been on vacation, let's call it through most of July, and maybe even part of August. It's usually the vacation time. But I think September can be a very overwhelming time frame because you're looking at, last quarter of the year, people coming back to work, people going back to school, the usual stuff that used to happen all the time that we would count on anyway. But there's even more now, right? And so the other thing that's involved in this is that doing stay interviews to understand what people are concerned with is not like okay, we did that, so we're all good. Don't worry about anything else. We did stay
Check.
interviews. We're fine. We're fine. We have data. We're fine. The most important step, and it's the same with surveying your employees to see how they're feeling in regular times, is what do you do to respond to that? Because if you do those interviews and you don't respond, it's the equivalent of saying, I really want to hear what's bothering you, but I don't care.
Right.
And so, going back to your point, Diane, of being able to put something together that addresses some of those concerns. So certainly addressing those up front. And the flip side is, typically I live more on the space of pipelining talent, helping people to relocate and move to new positions. And those questions are things that are, literally they're conversations we haven't had in the past, but they're things surrounding, should I bring my car because I'm going to be living in a city now and I wasn't living in a city before? Things that people who live in a city are like, no, why would you need a car? But outside of the folks in the city are like, well, maybe I would want a car. I might want to escape the city. So you don't know what you're going to get
Mhm.
until you start that conversation. And I would also say that more frequently than not, having a third party conduct those interviews,
Mhm.
you're going to get a lot more information than like how often do you really see somebody go to their boss and say, you know what? I want to be home more because I have this sitting desk near my couch that I can sit on and to get my work done, and I'm doing a great job, but I can't bring the couch to the office. Like that's not going to come up. And that's obviously stretched way out of proportion in terms of the answers you're going to get. But you're going to hear things like the dog,
Yep.
um, that are going to be real concerns. And let's say you have 10 employees and 5 of them have the same concern. Well, that sends a message in terms of what you need to do. So please make sure not only are you connecting with someone like Diane who can help you with those day interviews, but also helping through the process of saying, how do we fix this?
Right.
How do we address it? How do we win the battle against talent where we can be able to say, yes, we address these issues, and also look outside the organization at how well we take care of our employees.
Mhm.
So that's going to be really important, really important.
Right. And you can do that with wellness programs.
Hmm.
You can do that with different things that you
Hmm.
can, interject into your normal program. I have a client who has Monday afternoons. They spend the time going ahead and talking amongst each other. They have
Yep.
group discussions. They actually bring in a
Hmm.
psychologist to make sure that things always stay
Hmm.
within the realm of being controlled and the topic. You really want to be careful when you open those doors to having interview or to having those conversations with your employees. It's important if you're going to do it under a well-being blanket, you want to make sure that you have the
Yes.
proper people in place who are educated and capable of
Yes.
doing it. I say, as an HR person, not a psychologist, not a
Hmm.
psychiatrist, don't want to be, and
Hmm.
you can really hurt people if you don't have somebody who's qualified. So
Absolutely.
it's
That's
important.
that's a great point. So I think that those pieces together should help. I think it is something you can start thinking about and putting in place now.
Hmm.
It's not something that needs to wait till September. I would not wait till September. I
Right.
would start putting those in place because the flip side is if people are on vacation, you're probably going to get a more honest answer than you're going to get when they're back in the office and they're grinding out through a Monday. So do it now. Get it out
Right.
there, get a pulse, understand what's going on, and go from there. And the other thing that's interesting about this, certainly there's a work life and a kind of a balanced component that has become more dominant. And I do think, and I've had this conversation multiple times, and we've had it as well, that part of this is you had people who said, okay, well, I'm going to work the next 5 years and I can work my 10, 12-hour a day job for the next 5 years and I'm happy with it and it's okay. And then we had the last year and a half where 12 hours was not happening. It was more like 18. And you not
Mhm.
only are you working 18 hours, but you're also changing directions, looking for new opportunities, trying to figure out just how to make it work.
Right.
And that's a stressful place to live. So that 5 year window has shortened down to about 10 weeks. I mean, not honestly, but it's
Right.
shortened up,
I was going to say.
it's shortened up quite a bit. And so people have a need now, and it's something that I think companies can work with in terms of development. I'm doing a set of interviews just because I think it's a fun thing to do, and I like getting to know people. And we'll be doing one with you, Diane, in the near future. But on people who really love their work. So I'm not saying that the job is what drives them to love their work. I'm saying they love the work, which is
Right.
more important, right? So they can certainly have a great job where they can bring their dog and they can play pool and they can sit on their couch and all that stuff, and that's awesome. But if they don't like the work, it's
Mhm.
not going to matter.
It's not
And
going to matter. They're not going to stay. They're not going to
mhm.
be happy. Worse is having somebody who's staying who's not happy.
Right. And so I think that the other thing we're going to see over and above the work-life balance is that people want to feel full at work, and not from the vending machine. They want to, definitely not the vending machine. But they want to feel like this is something they're passionate about, and they want to feel engaged around it. So I
Mhm.
do think that beyond even the stay component, being able to listen to what they're saying in terms of the actual work can help tremendously with being able to shift people internally
Mhm.
and save you an awful lot of money, to a role where they're going to be much happier. You're going to still have that resource on board, uh, but it's not going to turn into this like, well, they didn't listen to me, so I left. It's going to turn into this, wow, they not only listened to me, but I'm also doing something I like even more now. So I
There
think
you
that's going
go.
to be another thing, maybe not by the fall, but certainly something that you can start to put some tracks in place by
Mhm.
next year, I would think. And I think that's going to be interesting to watch.
And those conversations that you're having with your employees enable you to do that. It is,
Yep.
what do you like most about your position? What do
Hmm.
you like least about your position? It doesn't
Hmm.
mean you're not going to have to do that position. It just means I'm
Hmm.
going to work with you to have the position that is so ideal, you'll never want to work anywhere else.
Hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And honestly, the cost involved in replacing somebody is 40% of their salary. And that's just out of the gates. That's before you start to factor in the people who are sitting in interviews and all of that stuff. So it's a substantial sum of money that you're going to put down into the new employee, and lose with somebody walking away because you didn't address the issue.
Which is why it
So
always confused me why we did exit interviews
mhm,
during a time, right when somebody's walking out the door. Go ahead and talk to your employees now. Go ahead and get their
yeah.
feedback now because they're going to stay. It's going to cost you a lot less money. But most importantly, it is really engaging with your employees, connecting with your employees.
Mhm,
Don't work with people you don't know. It's
mhm.
not fun.
And I will say it is not fun. I will also add this on the exit interview component. When you're in an exit interview, obviously be professional. But if there's feedback you could give them that can help the organization, you never know when you're going to end up back there again or they're
That's
going to be
right.
purchased and you're working for them. Allow them to get better the same way you are.
That's right.
Um, the same way you're moving to something bigger and better for you, let them get bigger and better based on your experiences and the feedback you can provide for them. That's a really, I mean, I hear so many times, well, this is an exit interview, so I'm going to tell them exactly what they want to hear. Who does that help? That's a waste of time. Go
It's
have a
true.
cup
It
of
doesn't
coffee.
help. And I think most employers that I deal with actually appreciate
Hmm.
honest feedback that
Hmm.
is given in a way that is also respectful. So you
Yes.
can give feedback without being a turkey.
Yes, exactly. No turkeys. Um, but anyway, so this was fun. I'm glad we were able to get together this morning, Diane. Certainly, if people would like to reach out to you, we will put this out and link you into it. But if you want to share your information in terms of how to reach you, feel free to do
Sure.
that.
The cell phone's the best way. My name is Diane Campanile. My cell phone number is 484-888-3911. Should be easy to remember.
Sounds good. So we will be in touch soon. But folks out there who are listening and watching, please do your stay interviews and make sure that you've got the resources involved to handle that feedback. We really would love to be able to support you, but we'd also like to be able to support you in a way that's strategic and not reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's not get too reactive. This has been fun. We'll do it again soon. And thanks so much for your time, Diane.
Always good to see you.
You too.